My clock said 2:47 a.m. 10 minutes passed, still 2:47. Then I saw it. My shadow stood still on the wall. It didn't move when I did. It just grinned at me, like it knew something I didn't. And outside, the moon was bleeding. Grapevine was no longer part of the world. This is the last dawn. The night that shouldn't have come. Grapevine was the kind of town where nothing ever happened. The snow came early, the coffee was always lukewarm, and the people aged quietly. But on that cold December night, everything changed. Ellie Morgan, 17, sat on her windowsill, sipping cocoa, watching the snow fall in slow, heavy flakes. Her bedroom light flickered once, twice, then went out. She sighed and rolled her eyes. Power cuts were normal here. What wasn't normal was what she saw next. Outside, the moon had turned a deep, unnatural red. Not like a blood moon, this was darker, like it was rotting. Beneath the moonlight, she saw birds crashing into houses, dozens of them falling lifeless from the sky. A loud thud made her flinch. A crow had just slammed into her window and slid down, leaving a smear. Her phone buzzed. "Max, you seeing this?" She called him. "Max, what's happening?" "I don't know, but I think something's wrong with time." He sounded scared. Max was never scared. "What do you mean?" I looked at the clock. It's 2:47 a.m. I checked 15 minutes ago. It was 2:47 a.m., then 2. A chill ran down her spine. She looked at her own clock. 2:47 a.m. She waited a full minute. Still 2:47. "Ellie," Max whispered, voice shaking. "My shadow, it's not moving when I do." She turned to her wall. Her own shadow stood completely still. Then it smiled. Ellie screamed and turned on her flashlight. The shadow flickered and snapped back into place, pretending it had done nothing. Her heart pounded. They agreed to meet at her place. 10 minutes later, Max arrived on his bike, pale and wide-eyed. He clutched her arm like a lifeline. "Ellie." Something crawled out of my mirror. "What?" It looked like me, but its mouth stretched open too wide. It whispered, "Dawn is denied." Then it vanished. Suddenly, the old radio in Ellie's kitchen crackled to life. "This is an emergency broadcast from the National Weather Station. All towns have entered morning hours, except for one. Grapevine. Scientists baffled. Sky remains pitch black. Residents advised to remain calm and indoors. We repeat, Grapevine has not seen dawn." Max and Ellie stared at each other. "Why just us?" Ellie whispered. "Maybe it's the place, or maybe it's us." Just then, Ellie's little brother Jamie came running down the stairs. "Ellie, the people in my dream said I have to tell you something." "What people?" "They were tall and blurry, like TV static. They told me to tell you, one must die." Ellie's heart stopped. "That's not funny, Jamie." "I'm not joking," he said quietly. "They said you'll understand soon." That night, none of them slept. They huddled in the living room with all the lights on. Every shadow seemed to stretch longer than it should. At 4:10 a.m., the doorbell rang. Max peeked through the curtain. No one was there. Just a trail of black feathers leading into the woods. Then the TV turned on. A show started playing, but no one had touched the remote. It was a news anchor, smiling eerily. She blinked too slowly, her eyes too wide. "Good evening, citizens of Grapevine, or should I say, goodbye." The screen flashed with images of screaming people, burning houses, and a black fog swallowing cities. Ellie grabbed the remote and shut it off. Her hand was shaking. "What is going on?" Max whispered. "This is not just some glitch. This is something choosing us, something evil." Suddenly, Jamie started laughing in a way that wasn't like him at all. "I don't want to die, Ellie," he said with a grin too wide for his face. Ellie backed away, horrified. "Max, that's not Jamie anymore." Max held her arm. "We need to get out, now." But outside, the snow was falling upward, and the red moon stared down like a watching eye. Ellie didn't expect the storm to follow her home. The sky above her parents' crumbling farmhouse in Morib Hollow churned like a pot of tar. Thunder cracked, rattling the windows. She stood at the edge of her grandmother's bedroom. untouched since her death 2 years ago, clutching the old iron key Father Jonas had handed her at the chapel that morning. The door creaked open slowly, dust danced in the air like ash. The scent hit her first, mothballs, lavender, and something else, something faintly metallic, like dried blood. She stepped inside. On the dresser sat a wooden box carved with strange sigils, curved lines, weeping eyes, and jagged suns. Her hands trembled as she turned the key in the rusted lock. The box clicked open. Inside lay a single envelope, yellowed, brittle. Her name, Ellie, scrawled in her grandmother's unmistakable hand, shaking and desperate. She sat on the bed and opened it. "My dearest Ellie, if you are reading this, then the Watcher has returned. There is no easy way to say this. Every few centuries, Morib Hollow is chosen, and in each choosing, a soul must die to prevent the veil between our world and the next from tearing. This town feeds the darkness, and the Watcher feeds on us. In 1874, it was my brother. In 1912, it was a girl named Ruth. In 1973, we hid the truth. But it always comes back. Always. This time it may be you, or Max. You must listen to the whispers, follow the signs, and above all, do not trust the priest. He lied once, he may lie again. Grandmother loved you. I'm sorry." Ellie blinked. Her skin crawled. The air in the room grew colder, the shadows deepened. From the far corner, a whisper hissed, "He already knows." She spun, heart thudding. "Max!" But no one was there. That night, Ellie couldn't sleep. She kept the letter close, reading it over and over until the words blurred. At 2:03 a.m., her phone buzzed. A message from Max. "You awake? I found something in the attic. It's bad. You need to see this, now." Max's attic smelled of mildew and secrets. Rain beat against the roof. He pointed to an old trunk near the far wall. "I didn't open it," he said. "It was already unlocked, and this was just sitting on top." He handed her a tattered journal. Ellie's stomach twisted. It was her grandmother's handwriting again, but this time angrier, more desperate. The Watcher is real. It wears the faces of the dead. It comes when the bell tolls 3 times in a place where no bell should exist. I saw it in 1973. It stood at the edge of the river wearing my mother's smile. It spoke my name. I still hear it. "Ellie," Max said, eyes wide, "you don't think this thing is real, do you?" Before she could answer, they both froze. A low chime echoed through the attic. 3 slow, impossibly loud bell tolls. Bongs, bongs, bong. There was no bell in Max's house. The silence that followed felt alive, breathing, watching. Then something moved in the shadows behind the trunk. "Did you see that?" Max whispered. A second later, the attic bulb flickered, then burst. Shards of glass rained down. They ran. The next morning, the town woke up to smoke. Father Jonas had set himself on fire in front of the chapel. By the time Ellie and Max arrived, it was already over. The body, charred beyond recognition, still held the priest's silver crucifix, clutched against a melted hand. But the horror wasn't just in the fire. Witnesses said he stood there silently, eyes wide with terror, until just before the flames consumed him. Then he screamed, "One must die!" and laughed until he stopped breathing. At home, Ellie locked herself in her room. Her ears rang with the priest's final words. She pulled out the journal again. Something about the ink seemed to change. One entry bled through the page, as if newly written. They lied. The Watcher doesn't choose. It waits for someone to offer the soul willingly. To stop the end, someone must want the other to die. That night, Ellie dreamed of the river. She stood at its edge, barefoot in the mud, holding Max's hand. Across the black water, a figure stepped forward, smiling, wearing Ellie's face. But its eyes were hollow. The figure raised one finger and pointed at Max. She woke up screaming. By the 3rd day, whispers followed Ellie everywhere. At the grocery store, a child stared at her and whispered, "Are you the one who dies?" In the mirror, her reflection blinked a moment too late. In the shower, she heard someone humming a lullaby she hadn't heard since childhood, one her grandmother used to sing to her brother, who died before she was born. Max called that night. Ellie, it's getting worse. He sounded terrified. I saw my mom today in the woods. Mac, your mom's been dead for 10 years. I know. A pause. She told me it has to be you. The town began to unravel. Dogs howled endlessly. Birds slammed into windows. Old people mumbled about the choosing before clawing at their own faces. And at the town's edge, where the river had long dried up, water began to seep back through the cracked earth, black, thick, and bubbling. Ellie stood at the edge, letter in one hand, the journal in the other. She thought of Max, of the Watcher, of sacrifice, and of a voice she now heard every time she closed her eyes. Only one can see the last dawn.